Bulldogs are right back in it just like that.
Every Friday on our website, Red Feather.
Welcome to Impact Monday Week 4 edition. Let's make sure that everything is going, and it is. We're in good shape. Paul Sarb, Cameron Irvine with you. Good evening, Paul. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great tonight, Cam. Excited to see some good football. We got a lot to talk about. Let's get going.
It was a wacky Week 4. It really was, and we're hoping for some good things tonight. Florida and Portland. Just to set the stage here, Paul, Florida is 0-3. They have made the playoffs before after starting 0-3, so you can never count them out. However, this has been kind of an odd three-game losing streak to start. Bullet Boletsky has not been able to get going. Ron Cochran has thrown a bunch of turnovers, and Florida just hasn't looked right just yet to start this season. First, your thoughts on the Storm, Paul, just to start out about, what you're hoping to see tonight.
I'm expecting Florida to kind of switch it up from what we've seen so far in the season. Again, as a former member of Florida, I know how hard those guys work in the front office and as a team in general. So I expect Florida to kind of switch it up a little bit and kind of try to get back on the right track here moving forward.
For Portland, 1-2, but it hasn't necessarily been the easiest of beginnings. It seems like Portland kind of digs themselves a certain depth of hole to start every season, and then they begin to climb out of it. They started 0-4 last season. They got a win last week to avoid that start, but would really like to get to 2-2 here. And, Ezekiel Love's been a big part of their team, but even he has not played great. We have seen Cyrus Jive take the next step of his maturation process, and he's playing pretty well.
Yeah, Cyrus Jive, I'm super excited to see him play tonight. And like you mentioned, Ezekiel Love, he's the workhorse for Portland. Again, he hasn't been playing necessarily the best he can, so I'm excited to see him get going tonight, but you got to get the team involved if you're Portland. You can't tire Ezekiel Love out too fast and rely on Ezekiel Love. So you gotta get the team a little bit more involved to have a chance to win tonight.
Before we get to a recap of Week 4, let's look at chat. Shout-outs. Slap Goat is in the chat. I don't know what Goats ever did to you, but, do whatever you have to regain authority. Josh Farnsworth.
That's the greatest of all time.
Josh Farnsworth, Cliff Allen, Justin Reside in the chat. Yes, too many buttons. I've had a larger touchpad that's been sitting on my desk for 4 weeks, and I haven't been able to set it up. Been too busy, and it's causing me problems. Nick Hoagland is in the chat. What up, Nick? Grant Hardaway. Dan Tritz had a nice game for Mexico City this week. Nathan Hall's in the chat. Ty Patax in there. Fox Highwind as well. Mark Hurwitz, Arizona Scorpions.
That like button.
Yeah, hit the like button. Mark says Chaos in Canton, and yeah, we're going to get to that later on here. Curtis says that's a bad joke, and yeah, that one is too. Skippy with a $1.99 super chat. I'm good at touching buttons, allegedly. Daddy's here, says Andy. So, yeah, take that for whatever that is worth to you, if you're his son or not. But Florida, Portland coming up here at 8:15 p.m. Eastern, and we're ready and willing to recap week number 4, and we begin with our headlines. Paul, Atlanta is ready for the rematch because with their win over Jacksonville, that means they're going to be undefeated when we see them in week 6 in a championship rematch with Sioux Falls. They have a bye next week, and they can rest easy as the Sparrows will be in a battle with Tulsa in week 5 to try to avoid a 1-3 start. So that's going to be a great game when we get to it in a couple of weeks. Las Vegas and Canton are your upset specials of the week. Both 17.5-point underdogs from Jack's data, and both got the win. Vegas doing it on the road, even that much more impressive. And then the Atlantic is interesting. All last season, Paul, it was the South beating up on everybody else, everybody being over 500, everybody making the playoffs. Well, this week, Carolina and DC both beat Southern Division teams. There are no teams above 500 in the South at the moment, and Carolina and DC will play next week to try and battle for that second place supremacy. What caught your attention from week 4, Paul?
To me, Cam, seeing Las Vegas, like you said, Las Vegas and Canton, 17.5-point underdogs, to go against the spread there and to be the underdog headed into the game, to go in, handle business, come out with a victory. You can't ask for anything more than that. Another big standout, I want to shout out Seattle. We'll talk about them here in a little bit. Going to see a little bit of that game. But again, Atlanta staying undefeated. Excited to see them here week 6 on Impact Monday, Cam.
DC now 4-0 against Alamo City. We'll have highlights and reaction from that game in a little while. But for now, let's get to those highlights. And Paul, guess who leads the show? Holy moly, it's Seattle and Los Angeles. Let's go to California. First quarter, Nemesis got off to a hot start, up 10-0, but it's Shea Carroll right up the gut, puts out a mini stiff arm and outruns the coverage. And Los Angeles, boy, did they need that, because before that kick return, they had 0 yards of offense. Actually threw an interception on their first play, but this has been their struggle. In the red zone, 3rd and goal, they run Logan Jack. He can't get anywhere. They have to settle for a field goal. Now 13-10 in the second quarter. Sully Richardson gets things moving. That's Jack Flash with the catch, and LA's back in the red zone. Would they actually get a touchdown this drive? That pass is hauled in by Tommy Rahman down to the 2, and they're looking pretty good. Next play, Sully in the corner. They got in just barely. 17-13. Los Angeles takes the lead over Seattle on that Shea Carroll touchdown, but Seattle was not done at the end of the first half. Trellis Blanton shifting around in the pocket, completes one over to the 24-yard line. Next, or 2 plays later, it's Blanton to Pauly Truth, sliding into the end zone for a touchdown, and Seattle takes a 20-17 lead into the half. Third quarter, Blanton steps up. He is sacked. Gary Marks had 3 sacks in this game. He was relentless against Blanton and that front. Now tied at 20. 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and there's more pressure from the Los Angeles defense. That would force Seattle out of field goal range. But with 20 seconds to go in the fourth quarter, and it's still a tie game at 20, Sully Richardson fires to try to get into field goal range, and Amar Bryant Jr. rips it away and gets Seattle near scoring position, Paul.
It was incredible game. The entire game. I couldn't breathe. I was having a heart attack. And LA, shout out to LA for coming out and playing as hard as they did. It definitely was not an easy game for us.
Los Angeles less than 300 yards of total offense in this game. Their offense has been struggling 13 games in a row. They've scored under 30, but they were still in this game. 1 punt in the first half, 12 in the second half between Seattle and LA. Trellis Blanton needs a conversion. Got a conversion, a 15-yard pickup, and a quick timeout with 5 seconds to go would bring out Ronald Suey for a chance at a 40-yard game winner to give Seattle their first road win in franchise history. Had lost their first 8. And off the leg, the kick is good. 23-20, Seattle beats LA. LA falls to 0-4. Paul, your thoughts on Seattle's first win of the season and them getting the job done on the road in Los Angeles?
Oh, it was awesome, Cam. You should have seen our locker room after that victory. Again, the whole team was fired up. First, I want to give a shout out to the front office. I know they're putting in tremendous amounts of time. Ethan Kai, David Harrell, Brady Clark, Doug Day, Tita Queen. Shout out to Amar Bryant Jr. What a great interception there. And even better to get some yards to help set us up to score with 10 seconds left. I want to give a shout out to the Harrell trio, absolute staple of the defense. They played great. I want to shout out my quarterback, Trelly B, and shout out everyone on the team, and shout out Pauly Truth, getting it done.
Michelle Colston is booing you in our stats truck. She is standing by with Ron Haynes for stats of Impact Monday here tonight. And, now at least she doesn't have to listen to it for the rest of the show, and Paul got it all out of his system. Seattle hosts Jacksonville in 2 weeks. They go into the bye happy, as you can see by Paul's face.
Absolutely.
With a 1-3 record. All right, so from Seattle, we go to unbeaten's falling, and we head to Vancouver, where the Minnesota Legend were riding high at 3-0, and they didn't do much in this game. Fast highlights here, because there wasn't much to talk about. Christian Brown hits Chris Curtis. Curtis had more than 100 yards once again, but it was Vancouver. 3 sacks by 3 different players, putting all sorts of pressure on Minnesota throughout the night. Christian Brown up 7-0 to end the quarter, hits Brett Killian. Paul, he's still on 99 career touchdowns, 6 weeks running. Did not have a touchdown in this game. Christian Brown out to Robert Redford in the fourth quarter, scores. It's 20-3. Minnesota, up to this point, just didn't have anything going. 20-6. They desperately need to stop. Vancouver goes for it on 4th and inches and just gets across the line. And Vancouver just able to drain the clock on Minnesota in the fourth quarter. Wasn't the prettiest of games, but Vancouver got the job done. Robert Redford on the ground there. Christian Brown finds Brett Killian on a key 3rd down and 6. And that's the end of it. 23-13. Vancouver upsets Minnesota, and down go the Legend to San Diego, where we had a little bit more craziness and drama. Doug Britton from Eric Price puts Vegas up, now 7-3 late in the first quarter. Scar Patterson heads down the field, and that pass is caught by B. Robo, and that puts San Diego up 10-7. Now 13-13 in the third. Eric Price finds Mason Kirby for the score, just barely across the line. 20-13 Fury. Eric Price down the field, picked off. Zach Holdorf, he had 3 of these on the night, and that was a problem for Vegas throughout the evening. So for San Diego, more to come on that. Scar Patterson, Benji Matson, blanket coverage in the end zone, Paul, but didn't matter. Tied the game at 20.
And that's a beautiful catch there by Matson. What a throw to find your tight end there, back of the end zone. We're going to see here again, just get off the line, run the streak, and get your toe tap down. What a catch by Matson there.
Toe tap he did. Tied at 20, late third quarter. Scar Patterson's pass is knocked up in the air and intercepted by Merrick Itera, and this would start the wild and wacky fourth quarter between Vegas and San Diego. It was a mess out there. In this game, 944 combined yards of offense and 12 turnovers, 6 for both teams.
Wow.
And with 1 second to go in the third, Eric Price finds Doug Britton, because San Diego definitely couldn't find him. They were nowhere to be found. Doug Britton, I've never seen a receiver so wide open. He scores to end the quarter, makes it 27-20. Now 8 minutes to go. Price is picked off. Leon Thunderman, former #1 pick, with the pick. And what would San Diego do with it? Pseudo Nakai, touchdown, ties the game at 27. Back and forth we go. Vegas's next possession. Just kidding. San Diego. Patterson is intercepted. Shad Allen. This came after San Diego's defense picked off Eric Price again, but they couldn't do anything with it. Pseudo Nakai saves a touchdown. And but this was a huge play, because San Diego looked like they were going to win the game on that drive.
What a perfect time. Again, we saw it earlier in the season with Las Vegas. Justin Razad getting pick 6 to win the game. So big interception there to try and take over and take the lead of this game.
No pick 6 to win the game in this one for Vegas, because it was just too much of Doug Britton. Mason Kirby on that last catch, but Britton running a fade to the bottom of the screen. And again, who's guarding this guy? Doug Britton nearly 300 yards in this game, 34-27, last gasp effort for San Diego to avoid losing their first game of the season, and Scar Patterson gave it his all, as he's done all career long for him. The pass is intercepted, and Vegas wins 34-27. Ashley Jackson caught up with the Mavericks' Biff Markham after the game. Let's hear what he had to say about the Mavericks' first loss this season.
What is up, and welcome back to PGI I am here with a good friend of mine, Mr. Biff Markham. He is the defensive end for the San Diego Mavericks. And catching up with him fresh off this loss to Las Vegas, 27-34. I was watching this game and you guys both had six turnovers. You guys held the ball way longer than Las Vegas, and you actually had more total yardage too with 500. Tell me, Biff, what do you think things kind of took a turn for you guys? And how do you see yourselves bouncing back for next week?
Well, thanks, number one, Ashley, for having me on.
Very
And
welcome.
but yeah, to me, the big thing was our performance in the red zone, where we had some really key interceptions happen that when we should have been getting points and we turned the ball over. And then on top of that, we just had, some blind coverages there on Doug Britton that really hurt us. But I
Yeah.
know we'll bounce back because I know that Charles will be probably working day and night now. So I feel sorry for you guys because you're going to catch it because we play you next because we have a bye next week.
Mhm.
So, you know, so we'll be ready for you guys. But I know Eddie you know, we'll have you guys ready for us too. So it'll be a fun game.
Definitely. It is definitely going to be a game to watch. Probably this game right here was known as it's probably one of the contenders for game of the year. If
Well, I hope
this
so.
wasn't, I'm sure ours will be. Can't wait to see what
Okay.
y'all got.
Okay.
All right, Cam. Thank you so much, Biff.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for being on, and I'll see you soon, okay?
All right. Well, you take care.
All right, you too. All right, Cam and Polly, back to you.
Thank you, Ashley. And San Diego off their bye actually plays Canton, which is going to be interesting, an interesting matchup based off of what both of those teams did this past week. Both of them on a bye this upcoming week. I want to go back to the Minnesota game because we didn't have a ton of highlights from that game, Paul, but Vancouver's defense has been excellent. They have given up 3
Absolutely.
touchdowns in the last 12 quarters. They are in firm control of this Pacific Division. It is worth noting that if Portland wins tonight, they will be 2-2 heading into play Vancouver next week at 3-1. That'll be a huge divisional matchup. But this Minnesota team, they kind of seem flat, Paul. After
Sure.
3 weeks of just dominating performances, it almost felt like they had gotten up so high for Sioux Falls to try and win that big divisional game. I don't want to call it a trap game because Vancouver's a very talented team, but they just didn't seem like they wanted that one as much as Vancouver did.
Sure, and like you said, Minnesota, they've been impressing everyone so far this season. 3 weeks just showing absolute domination, but to only put 13 points up after everyone, there were a bunch of people saying that Minnesota might be the second best team in the league. Well,
Yeah,
they needed to go
me.
out and they needed to go out and prove why they were the second best team. And unfortunately, we didn't see the same Minnesota offense that we've seen the past 3 weeks. Um, just a tough game for them all around.
Colin Hart in a game where they were down by just 1 or 2 scores pretty much the whole day. 5 carries for 5 yards. What's
Wow.
going on with that?
Wow.
Vancouver's run defense has been exceptional. They shut down BDG Hollywood last week, and that Atlanta team is a top 5 team in the league right now. So it's interesting because you don't expect Vancouver to hit you with a bunch of defense. It's always been the high flying Legion, Robert Redford, Brett Kelly, and all that stuff. But this team has a bit of a different identity this season. They are very defensive oriented, and they're playing well. Now to Vegas. Getting that win, I've never seen a team, Paul, personify a city more than this Vegas team does. I mean, they are just, it's insane. They are so high risk, high reward. They bet the farm
Absolutely.
every single play. They know if they turn the ball over, they have the odds are they're going to turn you over. They always just play. It's like when a big storm is coming and everyone rushes to the store, right? And everyone's just
Sure.
going through all the aisles, grabbing all the toilet paper and everything. That's how Vegas plays. It's pandemonium. We got to do everything right now. And it's led to Eric Price throwing 16 interceptions in the first 2 games, but first 3 games, but Vegas is 2-1. Like, that's crazy.
And that just shows their defense. The high risk, high reward. again, it shows that it possibly can work. Again, they're 2-1. They're squeaking by some of these games, getting victories. Again, if you're gonna send it deep 3 out of 4 times, why not? If you're gonna prove that you can do it, again, when you can send your defense out there and know that you're gonna get the ball back, as we've seen this season, that just shows that Las Vegas, they might be onto something here.
Yeah, Day Drury, Sean Allen, they're playing out of their minds defensively, and of course Max Jackson and Merrick Itera are always doing their thing. So the question is, Paul, both teams are 3-1. Both teams are still in pretty good shape, but who should be panicking more after what they saw in their loss?
As far as who should be panicking more, I'm going to have to say Minnesota, Cam. Not that Minnesota's a bad team, but again, after playing almost perfectly for 3 weeks, to then come out and only put 13 points up, is this the real Minnesota offense we're seeing? Or is the real offense the dominating performances week after week? As far as them panicking, they do have a little bit of a tough couple games coming up. I believe they have Florida after their bye week. So again, depending on what happens this game, if Florida's 0-4, I would not want to go up against an 0-4 Florida team hungry for a win.
Yeah, cornered animal game, right? They are not going to allow themselves to to lose anymore. And yeah, if I'm Minnesota tonight, I'm big Florida fans because I want them feeling better about themselves before I play them again.
That could hurt too, though, Cam. If they get some confidence going, again, it's going to be a tough game. Again, Minnesota, Florida, two of the more successful teams. I know we've only seen one season so far of Minnesota, but they've been impressive so far.
You can never count Florida out. San Diego, Paul, I've seen lulls out of this team. I think sometimes they've got so much talent that I think sometimes they get bored. I don't want to call it the Baltimore Vultures are a totally different sign of boredom sometimes, but the San Diego team sometimes they get a little sloppy with it. They got a little sloppy with it against Motor City. So they really need to clean things up. Vegas, that's part of their identity. I don't think San Diego necessarily wants that to be a part of their identity. They want to clean this defense up, and they want to play. I don't think they really want to play that style. They want to keep the ball in their hands and get it to their talent. Dave Axis did stay healthy this week, so that's a positive there for San Diego.
Absolutely.
But if I was the Mavericks, that's what I'd be worried about. Okay, so from teams that from undefeateds that fell, how about undefeateds who took care of business? Let's go to maybe. There we go. Jacksonville and Atlanta. The Atlanta Swarm wearing their Atlanta Hawk throwbacks, and look at BDG down the sideline. He is a menace. Jacksonville was in town, 2-1. This is the 18th all-time meeting. Remember, Paul, we were talking about who's met more times than Houston and Mexico City. Well, Atlanta and Jacksonville have met the same amount of times. Bryant Dynasty to Boo Chisholm in the back of the end zone, and Atlanta goes up 10-0. The Hive is buzzing. Second quarter. More Atlanta offense. Bryant Dynasty out to Siege. Falco, poor tackling there by the Kings. Young Vaught saves a touchdown, but Atlanta was all over the Kings early and really didn't give O.J. Bruin any room to breathe. 3rd and goal. BDG can't get in. That's what helped keep Jacksonville in the game with some of these red zone stops. Atlanta settles for a field goal to make it that. Oh, no, wait, it's blocked. Oh. Jacksonville gets a double stop, and all of a sudden the Kings have a little bit of momentum, but they did nothing with it, Paul. 3 and out after the blocked field goal. Next possession, BDG Hollywood. Oh, somebody got their ankles busted. Touchdown. BDG been doing that his whole career. Another look at it.
BDG Hollywood doing BDG Hollywood things. That's all this is. Again, ooh, look at that juke. Cooked them, and then nothing but field in front of them.
Cooked them, burnt the edges, all sorts of stuff. 17-0 Atlanta all over Jacksonville. Sean Sanders with a spin move. He had a great game. This rookie really starting to step up for the Kings, nearly 100 yards on the ground.
And after working with and seeing Sean Sanders progress in Lexington, what a game from him to come out here and try to, down 17, to try to fight back and give your team a chance to win.
Just before the half, Bruin back in the end zone. Joseph Budette, I feel like we call his name every single week on
Every
this
week,
program.
Cam.
He scores another touchdown, but the extra point was blocked. 17-6, jump ball.
Went up
Go
and
up
got
and
it.
get it. Yeah, exactly. Paul and I are so on the same page. It's crazy.
Locked in.
Jamal Wooding with the touchdown made it 23-6.
And we're gonna see here again. Look at Jamal Wooding go up and grab it. Quarterback throws it up. Yup. He knew as soon as he jumped that he was coming down with that.
Right over Bernard Gooden. Now, Bryant Dynasty gets hurt on this play. He would re-enter the game, but it was 27-9 at that point. Jacksonville gets another field goal, 27-12, 3 minutes to go. Bryant Dynasty, you have to throw the ball. You have to throw the ball. Bryant, you have to throw the ball. Well, not over there. Intercepted. And under 3 minutes to go. Look at the blocking all the way down the sideline. And the Kings down to the 1 yard line. And you're thinking, oh boy, here comes the comeback. But on 1st and goal from the 1, Paul, they threw an incompletion. 2nd and goal from the 1, incompletion. 3rd and goal from the 1, incompletion. Just run the ball. On 4th and goal from the 1, Jacksonville does this. O.J. Bruin sacked. And Atlanta goes to 4-0, drops Jacksonville for the 2nd straight week. They're 2-2. Motor City and Arizona. Christopher Dean with the touchdown. Motor City had the early lead 7-3 over the unbeaten Scorpions. 2nd quarter, Jackson out of the shotgun. Fires it down the field, intercepted. King Rashid with 8 picks in 4 games.
Wow.
He has been ridiculous for this VH defense. Now 3rd down and 10. Off the interception. Ibrahim Krieta right down the sideline. Pretty ball to Orain Darby, who also got banged up in this game. 1st and 10. Next play. Krieta sacked. 4 sacks for Arizona in this one. That's Sean Moore bringing him down for a loss of 8. And he's fired up. Jackson, I don't know where she's throwing that. That ball is picked off. Right, yeah, exactly. Right to Motor City. Cain Vasquez with the interception. And the V8s are back in business. 3rd down and goal from the 5. Krieta, touchdown. Over the middle, Phil Koss with a one-hander right at the goal line. At this point, 17-3 V8s. Arizona had 0 momentum. The Scorpions do this. They lose to teams they shouldn't lose to. They did it last season. Would they do it in this one? Ashley Jackson going to make sure that they don't. Wide open, Connor Weston. That goes for 6.
Running in there to catch that ball in open field, to be able to just throw a defender off you, trying to tackle you and bring you down, to fight back, to tie it up to 17. And right before half, Cam, down 17-3, Arizona knew they had to turn on and kick it into a different gear.
After a fake punt fiasco tied the game for Arizona, then they throw that interception at the end of the first half. They throw this interception at the end of the 3rd quarter. That's 2 picks in the red zone for Motor City, leaving precious points on the board. 20-20, 2:22 left. Right over King Rashid's head. Ryan Owens with the touchdown. That was really the story of the game. King Rashid locked everyone down until he didn't.
And just, again, big-time players make big plays. And King Rashid, he's been making big plays all season. Just he couldn't make the big play with this play here, Cam. And unfortunately for Motor City, let up a touchdown. Got Arizona up 7.
But DJ Moses fumbles as Arizona's trying to ice the clock. This is after Motor City turned the ball over on downs, and all of a sudden Motor City has one last chance, but Paul, they squandered their late game chances badly. Motor City was unable to come up with the upset, thanks in part to Parker Thomas. 2 picks in the 4th quarter of play, including that one. Arizona hangs on, and Ashley Jackson caught up with a very happy Eddie Gage after the game. That is not Eddie Gage, but that is.
Welcome back to PGI. And I caught up with Senor Eddie Gage, he is the coach and strong safety, Hall of Fame strong safety. Make sure I get that right. For the Arizona Scorpions, just came fresh off a win of Motor City V8s. This is the first time in their franchise history that they are 4-0. Coach, tell us, how do you feel and how did you get this win? Because this was a close game.
Uh, Team game, team effort. It took all of us. It took every member of this team to come up with this W. Our offense took a while to get going. First of all, credit to Motor City. They came to play today. They scouted us well, had a great game plan, took some chances. Those chances resulted in a couple of touchdowns, but it also resulted in some plays to get that defense off the field. So shout out to Drew, really, and that coaching staff over there. They did a phenomenal job preparing for us this week. But in the end, our defense helps win us this game. Our offense made plays when we needed it. DJ kept the drives alive with the run game. Shout out to the offensive line, the Red Sea. They did enough to keep the chains moving. Ashley hit receivers deep when necessary, and we got the job done, and on to the next. But shout out to Motor City. They did their thing this week.
Next game for the Arizona Scorpions will be the London Knights. So, yeah. Coach, how do you plan on tackling that one?
Rematch from last season in the playoffs. I'm sure they want that get back. This time it's in our house, but can't take them lightly. They won 11-1 last season. They're off to a bit of a slower start this season, but they put up 48 points against Vegas, who tends to give us a hard time. So I know they're going to come with their A game, and I'm looking forward to the challenge. But right now, I just want to celebrate this win because my heart is still racing right now, Ashley.
Understood. Well, you go celebrate with the rest of the guys, and Cam and Polly, back to you.
All right.
Thank you, Ashley. A happy Eddie Gage is always better than an unhappy Eddie Gage. And Arizona and London will be the SFL's return to Next Level Sports this season. That is Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. That's a huge game. The two teams going in opposite directions at the moment. We haven't gotten yet to London's meltdown in the fourth quarter against Canton. But either way, there's going to be a lot riding on both of those teams next week. In Arizona, it was sloppy. Ashley Jackson completed less than 50% of her passes, Paul. But, good teams get the job done. And at the end of the day, no one's going to remember that Motor City was up 17-3. They're only going to remember that Arizona was 4-0 to start the season for the first time in franchise history.
And Arizona coming in and getting it done. Again, a team that's that good that they're going to go in and they not that they will win, but know that they have a good chance to win. It's nice to see Arizona challenged here with Motor City. So Motor City, shout out to them. They came out and played their hearts out, just couldn't get it done. And again, I know Ashley does a great job with all these interviews, Cam, and it was nice to see someone from Arizona instead of seeing the upset interview of the team that Ashley beat, because I know she takes pride in doing that.
Yeah, it's always nice to see the Scorpions represented, even if it's not Ashley. And so they take care of business. Atlanta takes care of business, as we talked about. They got a bye before they play Sioux Falls next week 6 on Impact Monday. So a lot of time to think about that matchup with the Sioux Falls Sparrows and revel in their 4-0 start. Let's get to this matchup tonight, Florida and Portland. Paul, here are some of the headlines we are watching this evening. Art Vandelay is returning to Portland. He's been in Florida for a couple of seasons, but he spent his first 3 as a member of the Fleet. Now, Florida's last time they went to Portland was their inaugural season, which I can't believe, Paul. When I was looking up the notes for this game, Portland, this is their 6th season? It feels like Portland was just here just yesterday. They just got here. I cannot believe it's been 3 years now that the Fleet have been in this league, and that it's been 3 years since Florida was at the Shipyard, at Evo 9X Stadium. It's been a long time since they've come here, and it's Art Vandelay's first time back at his old stomping grounds. Ron Cochran needs 268 yards tonight to become the 3rd quarterback ever to pass for 45,000 career yards, joining Hall of Famer Matt Wilson and likely soon-to-be Hall of Famer Julian Tyree, who has an opportunity to pass Matt Wilson this season for passing yards. It's all love in their world, Paul. Ezekiel Love has 90 touches this season. The rest of the team has 58 targets, and they haven't done much with them, just 38 touches. I don't know if they need to get the whole team going more, or if Ezekiel Love just has to be more efficient, but that's something to watch out for tonight. And then will new records be set? We asked the question because there were plenty of records set the last time these two teams met in Portland. It's still Florida's largest margin of victory, 31-0, and it's Portland's only home shutout ever. And they're looking to score more points against the Storm tonight. Of all these storylines, which one intrigues you the most, Paul, as we set the stage for tonight's Impact Monday game?
It's got to be that Ezekiel Love stat, Cam. Again, you have 90 touches this season, and as far as targets, the rest of the team only has caught the ball 38 times. Again, maybe Ezekiel Love has to be a little more efficient, like you said, but I think you got to get the rest of the team involved. So I'm excited to see what type of offense we will see tonight from Portland and even from Florida. Again, Florida's 0-3. They don't want to go 0-4. Again, Florida's a proven winner. They know how to win games. So Florida's got to come out strong against Portland, and Portland has to do the same. Both these teams need wins tonight.
So Baltimore had a bye. At least, Paul, we don't have to watch them bludgeon some team on some highlight reel this week. But they got a chance to sit and watch the rest of their competition in their division play. Charleston, who we have not seen yet, Carolina, DC, haven't seen them yet either. But what is that Atlantic division looking like? And that's what we look at next. Alamo City taking on DC, the Dragons. 3-0 all-time against this artillery franchise, but it was all Alamo City early. Brad Jones, this guy has been one of the most underrated free agent acquisitions this season, Paul, and he got the artillery off to a hot start.
And again, we've seen what Brad Jones can do, and he is proving time and time again here, especially this season, that he can handle the workload, he can score, he can put the spin cycle on defenders, he can throw defenders off of them, right into the end zone, game after game.
7-0, late in the first quarter. Shabazz Synergy at this point did not have an incomplete pass. Hits Mike Churchill down to the 31-yard line, was 9 for 9 before they got Kevin Say going. And that ended up being the story today, not Brad Jones. As Kevin Say gets a couple of big blocks down the field, he's gone. And the DC Dragons tie the game at 7 apiece. Synergy to Lauren Percoco over the middle to start the second quarter, and the Dragons take a 14-7 advantage over Alamo City. 14-10 now, late in the first half. More Kevin Say, more great blocking. Just a terrific job by the Dragons all day long on the ground. They take a 21-10 advantage, and the fireworks are exploding. More Kevin Say. First down, pickup of 16 to the Alamo City 25. DC settles for a field goal, 24-10. Ace Fennick down the field, picked off by John DeSantis. I feel like there's more DeSantises in the league. Anyway, DC recovers the fumble. That was dangerous because that would have kept it a two-score game late in the third, but instead they settle for a field goal. Alamo City had 3 plays of offense late in the third quarter. In that third quarter, never really had the ball this whole game. Ace Fennick hits Ziggy Ronick down the field, but they had to settle for another field goal. Made it 27-13. They just couldn't get it going after that first drive.
Yeah, DC just DC didn't want to go down to 1-3. Again, they are showing why they made the playoffs last season, and they're showing why they're a higher level tier of team here in the SFL.
Jason Bourne with a sack late. He had 2 in the game, forced a fumble, and DC took care of business 30-13. How about another team in the Atlantic Division taking on a Southern opponent? Carolina hosting Fort Worth. Skyhawks trying to get above 500 for the third time in their franchise history. You heard that correct. That's not a lot. Robert Garrett Jr., the Cowboy, gets Fort Worth started off strong, but Lincoln Kingseed stepped up for the Skyhawks secondary. Down 7-0, returns it all the way into Fort Worth territory. J.Z. Bacon had to run him down, and Marcus Dunhill Well, he's upset on that sideline. Puts his hands on his hips and says, I can't believe I just did that. Ike McBride just did that. Tie game at 7 in the first quarter. McBride near 100 yards and had the 1 touchdown on the day. Tied at 10 late in the first half. Look at the arm on Matt South. Hits Heath McDaniel Jr. wide open down the field. Carolina would have to settle for a field goal. 13-10 in the third. Jay-Z Bacon is out of control. But look at Lincoln Kingseed. The hustle all the way down the field. Didn't make the tackle, but Kingseed just showing a bunch of effort. Davidson Joseph ends up making the stop for Carolina. But Bacon, damage done. Nice run.
Yeah, Jay-Z Bacon just trying to trying to retake the lead here for Fort Worth. Again, what incredible athleticism by the defenders to chase him down to stop them at the 2-yard line.
3rd and goal at the 2. Bacon finishes the drive he started, and Fort Worth at this point had a 17-13 lead in the 3rd. But the game was never the same after that. Matt South hits Chase Earl, and the Skyhawks take a 20-17 lead. Next possession, Marcus Dunhill is picked off again by Lincoln Kingseed, which gives Carolina a short field. What would they do with it? Well, Matt South to Harish Prasad, who gets laid out. Don't care. Back of the end zone. Carolina up 27-17. Next, Fort Worth possession. Just 20 seconds later, Dunhill is picked off by Monte Wyatt. His first career pick six, 34-17. And Carolina would end up rolling 34-23. Now, to the big upset in the north. London and Canton scoreless in the first quarter. Robert Redford scores and gives London a 7-0 lead. Early on in this game, didn't really seem like Canton had a lot of juice. 10-0. Cameron Curtis, Kendra Wells, there's your juice at the end of the first quarter. And Canton, that helped keep them in contention of this one. This was even better. From the 3-yard line, Johnny Pickler running no huddle is intercepted in the back of the end zone. Keep an eye on those red zone picks. Bob Funk, once again, makes a big play in the end zone for Canton. Remember, he had the game-sealing interception in the end zone against Motor City just last week. Connor Darien picks off Pickler in the end zone in the third quarter. That's twice now. And all those empty possessions in the red zone for London was keeping Canton in the game. Pickler to Vin Calia late in the third quarter. That pass is hauled in. Funk on the tackle. London had to settle for 3, 16-7. 8:40 to go in the fourth quarter. Pass hauled in from Curtis in the back of the end zone for a score. That's Kendra Wells again. 16-14. 6 minutes to go in the fourth. Curtis to Wells on a 2nd and long after a sack. Keeps the drive alive for the Classics. Cameron Curtis again. Caught down to the 41-yard line. That's my twin screw. Sets up a 50-yard field goal for the lead. Rob Ems doesn't have it. And this was the theme of the day, Paul. Over and over and over again, it seemed like Canton had its shot to do something with it, but it just wasn't enough because nope, there's a fumble. Another opportunity for the Canton Classics. I mean, London just in the fourth quarter, Paul, they just kept giving them opportunities.
Yeah, and great job here by this Canton defense to turn the ball over, down 2 points. You got to make something happen, and this Canton Classics defense just really stepping up to help them in this game.
Funk forced the fumble. Curtis flips it out in an attempt to respond. Canton only needs 3 to take the lead, but this was an expert drive from Canton Curtis and this Classic offense. Another completion over the middle for the Classics. That's Jack Wall, gets him a first down. Now first to goal with the 7 with 2 minutes to go. Forget the field goal. Robert Johnson, who had been struggling all day long, scores for the Classics and puts them ahead 21-16. Last shot for London on the Canton 46. 90 seconds left, and they fumble again. It's recovered by Gary Clem, and the Canton Classics pull off a monumental upset. They now lead the North with a 2-2 record. I need some more bread in my life. Ashley, take it away.
What is up? And we are back with PGI. And we have Mr. Alex Brad, of course, the director of.
You're gonna get it right this time, Ashley.
Yeah,
Last
I
time
know.
you didn't.
Yes, I am.
You'll get it.
Director
You'll
of
get
Communications
it.
for the Canton Classics. And they
Mhm.
fresh off a fantastic win over London. I have one question for you, Brett. How
Mhm.
did this win feel for the team, for you, and the city of Canton?
Oh my God, this one felt great. I mean, coming into this game, I mean, I had high hopes for Canton, of course, and they met my expectations and more. I mean, I thought that we could beat London, but like with, I guess I thought it'd be easier for some reason. I know that London is usually a tough opponent, but I do have like really high like standards for the team. So, but it was really like a nail biting kind of thing, and it was really fun to watch. As like a fan and all that, and be having my honorary player being called onto the field, the punter. But um, yeah, it was quite fun all around because I got to see everyone perform, and for the team, it felt great because this win was we really needed this win going into the bye week, and it's really um it's really good knowing that we actually got the win.
Awesome, awesome. Well, good luck to you guys for the rest of the season. Of course, unless you're playing Arizona. But
We played you already.
you did. And I wish you the best, Fred. See you soon.
Thank you.
Very
Okay.
welcome. All right, welcome back to PGI. And I am joined with Mr. Chris Porter. He is the defensive coordinator as well as defensive end for the Canton Classes. Big win for you guys over London. Congratulations, coach. How you feel about that?
Well, I feel good. It was a good, second half they had us, but we came back and had a couple of defensive plays, kept our team in the game. So I'm excited. We 2-2. Like last season, we was 0-4. So we barely made the playoffs this year. So I feel like at least we're off in a better footing to get in the playoffs this season.
Indeed, indeed. One question for you, coach. As defensive coordinator for this game, what did you guys concentrate on the most when planning for London?
Yeah, that's the yeah, I can't really disclose that because we play them again.
Oh,
So I don't want to talk too much. That's why I was like, we play them again, right? Yeah, we play them again. So I can't really say too much. But what I will say is I think that is actually the mistake because I don't think they have too many weapons to focus on one thing. So me personally, I looked at all their weapons and I just thought, okay, what can they do with all these weapons? That's pretty much I know anybody that's a defense coordinator, that's pretty much what I do with all my teams. I look at the whole team and I think about instead of just one weapon because they got too many. Like if I would have just thought about Merrill, then Pickler would have went off. So you can't just. They got too many receivers. They got a good offensive line. They got a good running back. So I had to take all that in account. So I kind of did like that, but I don't want to say too much. So we still playing them again, and they might be listening.
Good
Yeah.
deal, coach. Good deal. Thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate it.
All right. Whoop, whoop.
All right, back to you, Canton. I'm
Oh yeah,
back.
Cannon Pride. I supposed to say Cannon Pride or something. Cannon Pride. We are classics. My bad.
Good deal. Good deal. You got good. I'll cut it so it'll make sense.
All right.
Here's what I love about that whole segment, Paul. I said in the highlight by mistake, Canton Curtis. I guess I don't want people sharing my name. I don't know what that is. But then Ashley, I swear, it was not planned. Then Ashley says at the end of the video, she says back to Canton instead of back to Cameron. So we're doing all sorts of mix-ups here tonight. But the takeaway from the game there was that Canton controls their destiny in the North. London is 1-2. Queen City's 0-3. Motor City's 1-2, or 1-3 rather. So this Canton Classic team, not used to being in the driver's seat, especially after they started 0-4 last season.
Sure.
So the question is, Paul, can this team make the playoffs? They finished 6-6 in their inaugural season. It wasn't enough. What do you see for their future right now?
So as far as what I've seen so far is that their defense has been playing great. Again, 8 interceptions, 23 passes deflected, and only allowing 71 points through 4 games. Defense is playing great. That leads me to the offense, Cam. You have superstar talent all over the field, but you've only scored 61 points so far in 4 games. The offense has to get it going. As far as the rush game, it's been bad, to say the least. To be outrushed by your former fullback, Chris Comisac, so far in this season, again, you got to get the run game going. That'll open up the pass game for Kendra Hall, Mike Twinscrew, Al Dillapre, Jack Wall. Again, you got to get the run game going for Curtis to start kind of finding the holes in the defense to move the ball and score more points. Again, you got a -10 net points in your division, but to lead the division, that's an exceptional accolade so far this season. But Canton has a bye week here in week 5. They come back, they're playing San Diego, Las Vegas, and then Mexico City. That's 3 really tough teams, Cam. Again, going into your final bye week 9, Canton could very well be 2-5. I think they'll steal one of those games, but as far as if they'll make the playoffs, I think they might lose the lead to London, and I think Canton will just barely miss the playoffs, and I guess there's a lot of season left, Cam, so a lot of games to be played.
They're going to be big Arizona fans next week, because if London loses again and drops to 1-3, that's going to be really interesting. But, to your point, you got San Diego on the schedule. That's always a tough opponent, or has been recently. Vegas is a tough game. And I like what you said about their offense, because when you talk about San Diego and Vegas, you talk about teams that can light you up. And if they get in a track meet with those teams, that's not the way that Canton wants to play. Now, the good news for the Classics is that their defense is elite and has been playing that way through the first 4 weeks of the season. Maybe they know how to shut down Scar Patterson and Doug Britton and some of these weapons. I really liked what the team did this past weekend. They really pumped up Robert Johnson for that game-changing touchdown late. He's really been struggling. I would say that Rojo has not had his mojo to start the season, and I think that could maybe give him a boost of confidence heading into the coming weeks, and we'll see if Canton can get that offense clicking a little bit better. They have to feel pretty good considering where that offense is right now, being 2-2 and atop their division.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get back to the highlights. It's Indy and it's Louisiana, and it's Ryan Roosevelt. Is anybody going to stop this guy? Every week, this dude is balling for 200 yards. He came into the week leading the league in receiving yards and touchdowns and receptions, and he had another big game. Randy Squarebush had a bigger game. Louisiana ties the game at 7, and the men are doing work up there in that end zone. Beautiful stadium that Louisiana has. Second quarter, Tommy Utah, handoff to Cameron Collier. Indy got hit in the mouth in this game, Paul. I mean, Louisiana, it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, Indianapolis, they put a beating on Seattle last week. So, again, trying to get another win here and get to 3-1. But Louisiana here, they had some other plans.
Squarebush with 94 yards up to that point. Tommy Utah hits Liam Hammer. Utah had a QBR of 140 in this game, and the Revolution take a 14-7 advantage at Stack Up Stadium. Next possession, Utah with an empty backfield, backed up in his own end with a deep drop, finds Hammer. Liam Hammer gets free. Rockefeller trying to catch him, can't. 21-7. That's what we're used to seeing out of Indy, but it was Louisiana on this night wearing their Cadillac black uniforms in honor of the late Leonard Butler Sr. Ryan Roosevelt scores a touchdown, and Indy hits him right back. Pew, pew, pew. 21-14. This was a good one, but in the fourth quarter, Tommy Utah and the Louisiana Revolution wore out the Ramblers after Chad McDevitt gets this interception, which looked like the turning point for Indianapolis. But it turns out that it wasn't. Ryan Roosevelt trying to keep him in the game. Mike Ryan saves the touchdown late in the third quarter. But they only get a field goal out of it. Randy Squarebush scores a touchdown, stands tall, walks it in, 28-17. Fourth quarter, looking for Ryan Roosevelt, Paul. And this time, Rolliman Hood gets the better of that matchup. Actually, Evan Arthur, rather, with the interception.
What a great interception there. Again, you know, Ryan Roosevelt has been on that same route. He's been eating defenses up all season. So it was a great time for an interception for Louisiana to try and bleed this clock out and try to hold on to this 11-point lead.
Squarebush with the first down. Tommy Utah with another catch. This was kind of the difference in the game, Paul, because it was all Ryan Roosevelt for Indianapolis, but it was all balanced for Louisiana. Tommy Utah, Randy Squarebush, John Michael Sudduth, Liam Hammer, all those guys making things happen. Last highlight of the night, Mexico City was in Charleston. They got off to a hot start, actually chose to receive the football, and Jordan Sipe hits Ray Bentley for the score. 7-0, Kentez Johnson trying to put a miserable last couple of weeks behind him, and his pass is down the field to Davius Reed. But on a 3rd down and 1, they have to settle for 3. Saren Storm knocked in the backfield by Gerard Brody. Charleston, that was the theme of their night, settling for 3 all night long. That's not going to help. Gerard Brody off the deflection gets the interception, with Mexico City up 7-6, the pair of field goals for the Predators. And on 3rd down and 2, Phoenix Jones gets a first down, and that was the name of the game for the Aztecs much of the night. Just scratch and claw for every piece of yardage you can get. Jordan Sipe to Jason Bartley, and eventually Mexico City would punch it into the end zone. Sipe, Nick Lockett scores 14-6. Now in the 3rd quarter, Kentez Johnson 3rd and goal, sacked, can't get touchdowns. Dan Tritz with the takedown. Mexico City getting 6, Charleston getting 3 in the red zone. That pass on 3rd and long, not going to cut it for Charleston, down 17-12. What'd you think of this decision, Paul? They did have all 3 timeouts, 2 minutes to go. They decide to punt.
Hey, you're just putting trust in your defense here, and if you get them possession on the 1-yard line, then your punter does the job. Special teams did its job. But again, I like the call to try and trust your defense. It's just up to the defense to pull through and get that stop, Cam.
Which they did not, and the punter didn't get him pinned down either. It went into the 20. It hindsight's 20/20, but it blew up there on the Predators, and they fall in another tough, close loss, 17-12. Mexico City now in a 3-way tie for the South at 2-2 with Alamo City and just with Alamo City. Fort Worth and Houston are both 1-2, and we'll see them next week. Just check on the sheet. We've got Mike O'Neill coming up next. But first, Paul, a wrap-up from your perspective on week number 4. What did you feel like the main theme was of the week, or something that you can take into future weeks saying, hey, I feel like I got some confidence in this. I feel like I got a handle on this.
As far as what I have what I or anyone else in the league has a handle on, you got Baltimore up there. Again, they had a bye week. Everyone's chasing Baltimore. Arizona, they want a rematch of last season's championship match. They're playing good. Again, Minnesota, San Diego fall, but you still have Atlanta that's undefeated. And again, they got a bunch of good players in Atlanta. Again, the top teams are still essentially the top teams. It's all the matter of knocking those top teams off, Cam.
I gotta agree with you, Paul. It does feel like Baltimore and everyone else. Interesting slate of games on Saturday. You've got that Arizona-London game at 6:30, but the matinee on Saturday is all the Atlantic teams playing each other. You have Baltimore taking on Charleston. You have Carolina facing D.C. So that block right there is going to tell us a lot about the Atlantic Division, and if anybody can keep up or has a shot at the Baltimore Vultures this season from that division. All right, we're ticking down. the final minutes of our this week in the SFL pregame. Florida and Portland are coming up next, and Mike O'Neill has a game preview, and I promise this will actually be the game preview of this week. Let's take a listen.
Thank you, Cam and Paul in the booth. Always a pleasure working with you guys. Monday night is here. Mike O'Neill here. Going to go over some matchups to watch tonight. We've got Portland traveling into Florida to take on the Storm tonight. Both of these teams have been struggling offensively this season. 25th in the league is Florida, and 22 in the league is Portland in total offense. We're going to talk about Florida for a second. Ron Cochran is 25th in the league in passing touchdowns. He's got 4 touchdowns, 9 interceptions on the season. So it's pretty cut and dry what Portland's got to do here coming into this game. They've got to get pressure on Cochran. So that's going to be my first matchup to watch. I want you guys to watch the linebacker Khalil Thomas and defensive end Robert Brar against the offensive line of Florida. That is going to be Portland's key to success tonight, their key to victory. If they can get pressure on Ron Cochran and force him into continuing to make the mistakes that he's made this season so far, Portland's going to walk away with a victory. Let's talk about the other side. If Florida wants to take this one home, just like we said, Cochran's got to play smart, which means they've got to get Boletsky the ball, because this season he's only had 41 carries for 139 yards. He's averaging just over 3.5 yards per carry on the season, and that does not sound like Boletsky. So Florida's got to figure out how to get the run game going. They've got to make an effort to stick with the run and don't resort to the pass too quickly, because they haven't had much success in that department this season. And it's Portland's job to try and knock them off of that. So at the end of the day, both of these teams have a fair shot of taking this one home tonight. It should be a good one to watch. And if we're talking about the matchup to watch for Florida, I want you guys to focus on Boletsky versus that Portland defensive line and their run defense. Portland's got the number 3 run defense in the league right now, and Boletsky's going to have his work cut out for him. But Florida can take this away, and they can walk out with a victory if they get him involved and get his legs churning and keep him going. So we'll see what happens tonight. It's going to be a great game. Good luck to both of the teams, and we're going to send it back to Cam and Paul in the booth.
All right, Paul, you ready?
Absolutely there, Cam.
Let's do it. Florida and Portland coming your way next. This has been This Week in the SFL Week 4 edition, and Paul and I are right on the other side of this break for kickoff. Don't go anywhere. The show continues next here on Impact Monday.